Hi guys, my name is Sam, and I just got back from Australia, and I want to share with you my favorite places. Australia is a huge country with some of the world's most beautiful and diverse landscapes. From the pristine Esperanto beaches to the tropical Lord Howe Island as Australia waits to experience it. Let's start with this video. Located off the Australia's southeastern coast, Tasmania is an island that is home to some of the best beaches in the country. I spent a few days traveling around Tasmania, and I was overwhelmed by the beauty of the place. One of the main reasons I wanted to visit was to visit Cradle Mountain. It's located in the central highlands of Tasmania and is part of the Cradle National Park. Cradle Mountain, Lake Street, Clare National Park, and it is home to some of the most beautiful scenery in Tasmania. But what really drew me in were the wombats, the cutest animals I've ever seen. There's a place called Ronnie Creek where you can walk along these paths, and we saw at least 20 wombats. I mean, it was so peaceful. Peaceful when you hear them crunching the grass. Talk about nature. Awesome. Now another incredible place in Tasmania is Cape Way, which is located on the Tasman Peninsula, one of the highest sea cliffs in the southern hemisphere, which can be reached by a 10-kilometer hike. And it was such an impressive place. After we go to Western Australia, heading to the mainland to visit Western Australia. Before coming to Australia, I thought that it was quite feasible to cross the whole country in a day or two, until I realized it was a 40-hour drive. From Sydney, a 4-hour flight is definitely a quicker option, but if you want to do a week or 2-hour trip, it is going to be an incredible journey. Western Australia's capital, Perth, which is the fourth most populous city. What I particularly liked about Western Australia is its coastline. There are white sand beaches, crystal clear waters, and kangaroos just chilling on the beaches. Esperance is particularly beautiful. It has some of the whitest sands in Australia and the world. I just can't believe the beauty of this place. One of my favorite beach in Esperance is Twilight Beach. The beach is a 10-minute drive from the town of Esperance, and it has a massive cliff right off the shore that's popular for cliff jumping. A beautiful spot in the area is Cape Iron. It's an unspoiled coastline that is lined with unspoiled beaches, and you might see kangaroos roaming around. Backcountry, we're going to go to the center of Australia to visit the outback. The center of Australia, to go into the outback. And when you look at Australia from space, you'll notice that basically all the cities are on the coast, and the inland part of the country is an orange desert landscape where hardly anyone lives. This is the outback. The most iconic landmark of the hinterland is Uluru, or Ows. The rock is a massive monolith made up of. It can be reached by flying into the nearby town of Uluru, by flying into the nearby town of Eula, or by making the 4-hour drive from Alice Springs, Uluru. Alice Springs, Uluru is a sacred site for Indigenous Australians, and it is believed to be the resting place of ancient spirits. There's definitely energy, and it's just amazing how it stands alone in the desolate desert. After that, we're going to head to Brisbane and the Glasshouse Mountains. Brisbane is located on the east coast. Brisbane was founded in 1824 and today it's now the third most populous city in Australia and is the capital of the state of Queensland. It is a beautiful city built on a river, on the Brisbane River, and has 260 days of sunshine a year. 260 days of sunshine a year. An hour's drive from Brisbane is the Gold Coast, which is this incredible city with a huge beach contrasting with the skyscrapers. If you want a more natural setting, you can head to the Glasshouse Mountains, located about an hour's drive from Brisbane. The Glasshouse Mountains are a group of 13 volcanic peaks. They are amongst the most extraordinary mountains I've ever seen. The tallest is Mount Bira with a height of 556 meters. If you want to see them from the air, you can take a scenic airplane tour to see the unique mountains. After, we are going to visit Whitehaven Beach. Whitehaven Beach is regularly recognized as one of the best beaches in the world. Whitehaven Beach is located on WT Sunday Island, and it can be reached by boat or seaplane. The most affordable option, and you can get to Whitehaven by traveling from locations such as Early Beach or Arrow Harbour. Once you arrive in Whitehaven, you will be amazed. Haven, You will be amazed by the surrounding scenery. The sand is composed of silica, giving it a white color, and, combined with the blue ocean water, it creates this swirling mixture which that swirls back into the bay of the island, and it's just incredible to look at. From Inlet Lookout Hill, you get a view of the surrounding area from the top of Inlet Lookout Hill. I mean, this place is on another level, another incredible level. Cape Hillsborough. On the neighboring mainland is Cape Hillsborough National Park. Now, when I think of Australia, kangaroos on the beach always come to mind, and Cape Hillsborough is one of the best places in the country to see them roaming the coastline, if you're looking for the best chance of seeing them. If you want the best chance of seeing them, wake up around 5 in the morning to see kangaroos and wallabies on the beach. Sunrise is such an incredible scenery, with the sun rising and kangaroos feeding on the mango trees. After that, we're gonna head back to the ocean to visit the Great Barrier Reef, probably one of the most famous places in Australia. The Great Barrier Reef is located on the northeast coast of Australia and is the largest reef at over 300 kilometers. It can be seen from space, and it is the world's largest structure created by living things. It's easy to see why it's alone one of the 7 wonders of nature. It's home to more than 10% of all the fish species in the ocean, as well as many whales and sharks. Would be a dream to dive here one day. A potential city from which to reach the Great Barrier Reef from is Cairns. It's located near some of the best coral in the world, some of the finest coral reefs, and the islands of the Great Barrier Reef, and you can be reached by a 40-minute boat ride. After that, we'll head into the Daintree Rainforest. Head north to visit the Daintree Rainforest, located about a 3-hour drive from Cairns. The Daintree Rainforest is a combination of massive mountains, unspoiled beaches, and possibly the oldest rainforest in the world, which originated more than 110 million years ago. It is home to animals such as the Southern Sea, and I particularly like the area around Cape Tribulation. Picturesque mountains covered in lush vegetation. It's definitely one of my favorite places in Australia when it comes to natural beauty. After having been in Sydney, head back to the Australian cities. To visit Sydney, located on the southeastern. Sydney was founded in 1788 as a British penal colony, and today it is Australia's most populous city with a population. It is home to about 5 million people. The famous Opera House, which was opened in 1973. I love the beaches in Sydney. One of the most famous ones is Bondi Beach. It's only 20 minutes from Sydney, and it's a huge beach that has some really cool pools along the ocean. Just down the coast is also Bronte Beach. It's smaller than Bondi Beach, but it has its own charm. And there's a really cool public pool there called the Bronte Baths that you can go in. If you don't want to swim in the ocean, then a beautiful place outside of Sydney is Blue Mountains. The Blue Mountains are located about an hour and a half drive from Sydney, and it's an incredible mountain range that has the famous distinct color due to a combination of drops of eucalyptus oil from the forest combined with water. The vapor and dust create a blue hue. A magnificent observation deck in the mountains. From the Three Sisters, just a few minutes walk to the observation deck, and you'll get an amazing view of Pinnacles Rock and the mountains in the background. We are going to head to Melbourne, located in Melbourne and the 12 Apostles in the state of Victoria, about 9 hours drive from Sydney. Melbourne is Australia's second most populous city and has been voted the most livable city in Australia. There are many interesting things to do here. Things to do around Melbourne, such as taking a ride across the Sea Blackspur Scenic Forest, one of the most famous places in the 12 Apostles, located about 3 hours drive from Melbourne. The Apostles are a collection of limes and sea lions. There were originally 8 of them, but one of them collapsed in 2005 due to constant erosion from the waves and the wind. While here, you can look out from the boardwalk and many observation decks. We will head to our final destination, Lord Howe Island and Ball's Pyramid. We will visit Lord Howe Island, located in the Tasman Sea between Australia and New Zealand. Lord Howe's Island can be reached on a 2-hour journey from Sydney. The island is insanely beautiful. It's called Australia's Hawaii, and after visiting this island, I realized why it's an island. There can only be 400 tourists on the island at one time. And another interesting fact about Lord is that it's the largest island on which all the rats have been eradicated, which in turn has allowed birds and wildlife to thrive here. Is one of the main reasons I wanted to go to Lord Howe Island. To the island was to visit the Baylor Pyramid, which is the tallest sea pyramid in the world at 572 meters. At 572 meters, it's one of the wildest rock formations I've ever seen, as it sits alone in a desolate ocean. To get to the Baylor Pyramid, it took about an hour's boat ride from Lowe Island. We went to this tour company called Reef and Beyond Ecotours, and it was an adventure to get there. We took a boat all the way around the sea, and I was just baffled by the scale of this place. I felt like Jack Sparrow discovering a treacherous island. We traveled to Lord Howe Island and we had some incredible views along the way. While we were on Lord Howe, we had bicycles to get around, and we did some wonderful. One of my favorite walks was Malabar Kims, which had incredible views of the sea cliffs. Then we walked along up the mountain line to the Kims viewpoint, and we were able to get an amazing view of the whole. This place is heaven. Another one of my favorite things that we did on the island was snorkeling. Lord is home to the southernmost coral reef in the world, so there are tons of great snorkeling spots. We went to Ned's Beach and had a great time swimming in the warm, clear waters. We saw a lot of fish and a few sea turtles. And now for the sunset. I love to go down to Laguna Beach to watch the sun light up the mountains. God, how can there be any place more perfect than this island? Well, there you go. Outro for my Australian top 10. I've barely scratched the surface. Lots to see in this incredible country. So I'll be back for part 2. Let me know where your favorite place in Australia in the comments below.